Hello and welcome to the Purgatorians cast interviews. In this series, you shall be able to find out more information about the cast, what other projects they are currently working on, as well as their views about the character in the show. Today we have JP Esteban, who voices Miles Lampton in the show. Thank you, JP, for joining us.
Thanks so much. It's an honor to be here, and I apologize in advance for any noises that might seep through in this recording. I didn't adequately prepare for it in advance, and now the only time I have left to record it is unfortunately during LA rush hour as I'm trying to head to the airport.
What was your initial response when you read through the synopsis of the Purgatorians and the cast of characters involved?
To be honest, when I first encountered the casting call for the Purgatorians, I was quite intimidated. It was one of the most detailed project descriptions I'd ever come across, so much so that I almost wanted a TLDR of it. I actually skipped over the project and auditioned to several others before deciding to come back to the Purgatorians, and really looking it over and considering whether I was ready for something as big as this. It wasn't until I gave it a proper read that I realized, hey, this sounds like it could have been the plot for a role-playing game, and sure enough, as I dug deeper, I learned that this was indeed the case originally. So that sealed the deal for me and made me want to audition for any available role, because I've always wanted to be a voice in a video game or voicing over a video game character, and this project does have video game roots, so why not?
What can you tell us of the story of the show, the themes, and such?
From what I've read, and as I've said at the start of the interview, I can say that the story felt very video gamey, which I am all for. It demands pretty early on that you get fully on board for the wild ride that it is. You have to just let the show take you where it wants to go, and sometimes that's not where it would classically make sense.
In your opinion, why would people want to listen to this show? What would keep them coming back for the next episode?
Without spoiling the conceit of the show, I will say that the sense of urgency in the Purgatorians is very real. The mysterious force that drives the events forward is a puzzle that most inquisitive minds will find gripping. and the characters will grow on you. And in Cyrenetia, the world of the show, there are no guarantees on who might survive, right? So fans of particular characters in the show will want to stick around to see if their favorites are still in play. And who knows, maybe even death isn't goodbye in this show, in this world.
Why did you want to take part in such a large project?
I guess my previous answer should have been saved for this question. Well, like I said, at first I didn't want to. I didn't feel ready to commit. I thought I might not be good enough yet. I never had done a paid gig for character voiceover before. However, as I researched more about the project and about Paul, I realized that a large part of why the project seemed so daunting at first glance is because it's truly a passion project. Paul poured every drop of his creative juices into the Purgatorians, and the more you read up on its history, its production journey, the more you see how much hard work and sheer love went into it. Add to that the fact that Paul seems to want to do right by everyone and make sure that we're all not only paid, but involved in the creation of the series, and I suddenly didn't feel scared anymore. Instead, I felt like I'd be in safe hands under Paul's direction and project management, and excited over getting a chance to be part of a huge project, which itself is an insanely valuable experience.
Tell the viewers something about your character you are voicing.
I am voicing Officer Miles Lampton, a prison guard. I'm not sure how much I should say that wouldn't give anything away, but think Tom Hanks' portrayal of Paul Edgecombe in The Green Mile. Stern and authoritative as a matter of duty, but compassionate and empathetic at his core. I like that dichotomy. I hope I can convincingly pull it off.
What do you feel will be the hardest part about bringing your character to life?
Miles, in my mind, is a humane prison guard. I think the most difficult thing I'll have to contend with is that I'd have to make sure that duality comes to light, right? It can be very easy to fall into the trap of leaning too heavily one way or the other. Too much of an official voice and an air of an official voice and an air of authority, and I lose the compassionate undertones, and just it would make Miles come off as sociopathic, and we wouldn't want that because that's a completely different character.
If your character is to die in the show, how would you want this to happen?
I'd love for Miles to have to choose between doing his duty and doing what's right. Over the course of his stay in the show, he'll have to build relationships with characters who are either his fellow officers, his superiors, his prisoners, his friends, and his enemies. And many characters will fit into multiples of those descriptors. I'd want his morals and resolve to be thoroughly tested before he makes a mortal choice that ultimately decides how he'd be remembered by the fans and by the characters in the show.
If you could have chosen any character, male or female, who would it be and why?
Speaking of sociopathic, yeah, Tobias Haspel. I auditioned for him. I had so much fun auditioning for that role. His lines, they ooze manipulative malice. I felt like Jeremy Irons voicing Scar. Which in retrospect, I think is a good thing that I didn't get cast for that role, because villains are key to a story, and I feel like the current voice actor absolutely nailed it. Much better than I could have, for sure.
How much input do you have in the show? And does the creator of the show keep you informed about the decisions being made?
Paul constantly makes it clear that he wants as much input from everyone involved as possible, and I do feel like the show may have started as his baby, as his brainchild, but he wants the village to raise it. It takes a village. He is so active in the Discord that I sometimes wonder how he's got the time to do everything he does for this show. And if you're asking whether I have made input in the show, I haven't yet, but I feel like, if I wanted to, Paul would be so open and receptive to that.
What inspired you to become a voice actor?
It may seem quite anticlimactic, but I've always been told I've got a nice speaking voice. Specifically, I've been told my voice sounds like it'd be good for radio, but I've never listened to the radio for any meaningful length of time, so I never really knew the nuances of what that might mean. But I figured since it's something I've been complimented on more than once, and by people other than my mother, I should probably look into making something out of it. It also helps that some of my favorite cartoons and video games growing up had excellent, iconic voice acting. Like Metal Gear Solid in particular, one of my favorite games, is a milestone in game design. Graphics, gameplay, story, music, all of it incredible. But the way the voice actor's vocal performances just adds that extra bit of immersion, just how it makes that extra connection to you, the player, to fully draw you into what's going on in the game is something special. And I want to try to give people that feeling.
Is this your first show, or have you done other voice acting projects?
I have been involved in other projects in the past, but this is definitely the biggest show I'm involved in terms of scale. My first character voice was actually for a friend's YouTube animation where I voiced a dragon. I had a single line, which I actually don't think ended up in the final cut. But that's okay. Listening to it again, I probably wouldn't have cast me either back then.
In your opinion, what separates this show from others that you have done?
Okay, I have not done many shows, but what makes the Purgatorians stand out to me is just how hands-on the director is with every aspect of the show. The amount of dedication Paul has to this project cannot be understated, not just in the script writing, but in all of his feedback to each and every line. There were, I want to say dozens, maybe hundreds of character auditions in the casting call page, and he gave such verbose feedback on most of them. It's insane. I remember thinking after receiving his comments on my own auditions, I was thinking, man, even if I don't get picked, I get to come away with valuable lessons and feedback by which I can improve every future performance of mine. So from that alone, I saw that Paul truly respects the craft and the artists that share their talents with him. And I'm sure most directors do, but it's the first time I felt it as a first impression.
Any plans for after the show ends?
Considering the length of the show and its many seasons, I don't even know when the end might be. But let's see. I plan on to keep auditioning and honing my voice acting skills, of course. If a fandom of the show develops, I plan to stick around and maybe see what discussions it prompts, maybe even participate in them myself. Oh, I plan to see what Paul will have in store for us next. I don't blame him if he would prefer to take a long, well-deserved and maybe even indefinite break from show writing. But if he does decide to put pen to page again, it'll probably be quite the production.
Where can people find you if they are interested in your work and want to know more, or possibly hire you?
As of the time of recording this interview, I have nothing else going on, but feel free to look me up online. I've got the same handle everywhere, Reveus. Good luck trying to spell and pronounce that. I'm currently working on several other projects, including fan dubs of Honkai Star Rail and Omori, so if you're interested in those games, maybe follow their production.
Imagine you are your character. Any final words from them to the viewers?
If there's one thing I could impress upon you, it's this. Being just in the eyes of the law is not always the same as being right by your fellow man. Take pride in your duty, yes, but never forsake the friends you hold dear.
Thank you, JP, for joining us, and I wish you and your character every success in both the show and your future roles.
Thank you. I had a blast.
If you at home would like to take a look at the other projects JP Esteban has worked on, is currently working on, and for any further information, please check the description of the video. If you're looking forward to the start of the show, and this has piqued your interest, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below to let us know. If you would like to support the show, Patreon members will receive 1 week ad-free and uncensored early access to all shows, amongst other benefits such as exclusive director and cast commentary videos and the ability to be credited in the description if you would like to submit your reactions and they are chosen for a montage video. As well as much more, please feel free to look at the rewards in the tiers there. Next week we have Matt Richardson joining us, who voices Peter Miles, to give us their opinions on their character, the show, and other projects they have worked on. I hope you will join us. Until then, goodbye.
Show me a sign, we'll be out of here. Pick me up strong survive. Tear it up, going down the track. Don't fly so high, might never come back. Things get tough, you can count me in. 'Cause if you play the game, you gotta play to win. Take me up where only angels can fly. If you need a helping hand, I won't pass you by. Your time has come. You can stand or you can run, but don't keep it all inside. 'Cause you gotta understand that there ain't no second chance. No one gets out of here alive. Only the strong survive. Take me up on a wing and a prayer. If you need someone you know, I'll be there. Your time has come. You can stand or you can run. Don't keep it all inside. 'Cause you gotta understand there ain't no second chance. No one gets out of here alive. Only the strong survive. Only the strong survive. But I'm doing what I can, and you gotta understand. Oh, only the strong survive. Whoa.